Listen, I'm about to tell you something that will completely change the way you see your life. And once you see it, you'll never be able to unsee it. You've been lied to. Not by some secret society, not by the government, not even by other people, but by the very system that raised you. By your own mind. Since the moment you were born, you were taught to see the world in opposites. Right and wrong. Good and bad. Success and failure. Light and dark. Happiness and sadness. Love and hate. Up and down. And you were taught that you must choose one. Choose the right path. The good feelings, the successful outcome. Chase happiness. Run from sadness. Seek pleasure. Avoid pain. But let me ask you, has this chase ever truly worked? How many times have you finally reached something you thought would bring you peace, only to feel restless again? How many times have you escaped pain, only for it to show up in another form? Because the truth is, there is no escaping this cycle until you step out of it completely. Not by winning the game, not by mastering the balance, but by realizing the entire game is an illusion. The trap of duality, you see, life is not a battle between good and bad. Life is not a constant war between highs and lows. Life just is. It moves. It flows. It breathes. Look at nature. A tree doesn't fight the wind. The ocean doesn't resist the tide. The sky doesn't cling to the sun and reject the rain. Everything simply allows. But humans? We resist. We label. We judge. We attach meaning to every event, every emotion, every thought, turning life into a battlefield that only exists in our own minds. We cling to happiness because we fear sadness. We crave validation because we fear rejection. We chase success because we fear failure. But let me tell you something that will set you free. Happiness and sadness are not opposites. Success and failure are not opposites. Light and dark are not enemies. These things are not separate. They are not fighting against each other. They are part of the same whole. And when you realize this, when you finally see through the illusion of duality, something shifts. You step into neutrality. Neutrality is not indifference. It is not apathy. It is not weakness. Neutrality is power. Because when you are neutral, nothing controls you. When you are neutral, you are unshakable. When you are neutral, you finally stop swinging between highs and lows like a puppet on strings. You stop needing things to go a certain way in order to feel at peace. You stop resisting reality when it doesn't match your expectations. You stop being ruled by emotions because you realize they are all part of the same flow. Neutrality is the state where you are no longer fighting life. And because you are no longer fighting life, life stops fighting you. Most people spend their entire lives in emotional slavery. They are ruled by their highs and crushed by their lows. When life is good, they are euphoric. When life is bad, they are in despair. When people praise them, they feel worthy. When people criticize them, they feel worthless. They are trapped in the never-ending roller coaster of external validation and internal chaos. But neutrality? Neutrality breaks the cycle. When you are neutral, you are not craving love or fearing rejection. When you are neutral, you are not desperate for success or terrified of failure. When you are neutral, you are not clinging to happiness or resisting sadness. You are simply being. And from this state, ironically, the things you used to chase, they come to you effortlessly because you're no longer repelling them with your resistance. Think about it. When you stop chasing love, you naturally become more attractive. When you stop fearing failure, you take risks without hesitation, and that leads to real success. When you stop clinging to happiness, you find an inner peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. This is the power of neutrality. The science spirituality of neutrality, this is not just some spiritual concept. This is backed by science. In neuroscience, we know that the brain is wired for survival. It is constantly scanning for threats, categorizing experiences as good or bad. But the truth is, life is neutral. It is only the mind that assigns meaning to experiences. It is only the mind that turns a simple event into a crisis, a fleeting emotion into suffering, a neutral situation into a nightmare. And in spirituality, This is what sages and enlightened beings have always tried to tell us. Buddha called it non-attachment. Jesus called it being in the world, but not of it. The Tao Te Ching calls it going with the flow. Different words, same truth. The more you resist life, the more you suffer. The more you judge life, the more you suffer. The more you try to control life, the more it controls you. Neutrality is letting go of control and stepping into flow. How do you step into neutrality? 1. Drop the labels. Stop seeing life as good or bad. Stop labeling emotions as positive or negative. Everything is just energy. Everything is just movement. Stop resisting what simply is. 2. Let go of the story. Your mind loves to create stories about what things mean. This means I'm failing. This means I'll never be happy. This means I'm not good enough. Stop. These are just thoughts, not truth. Drop the story and just experience the moment. 3. Observe. Don't attach. Feel your emotions fully, but don't become them. You are not sadness. You are not anxiety. You are not fear. You are the awareness that experiences them, and awareness is always neutral. 4. Trust the flow. You don't have to control life. You don't have to force outcomes. When you stop trying to control everything, life has room to flow naturally. And it will, more beautifully than you ever imagined. Final truth. Stop fighting. Start living. Look, I know this isn't easy. You've spent your whole life believing in opposites, in battles, in struggle. But if you take anything from this, let it be this. There was never a battle. There was never a struggle. There was never an enemy. There was only life moving as it always has. And when you finally stop fighting it, when you step into neutrality, you don't lose yourself. You become free. If this message hit you deep, if something inside you just clicked, then don't stop here. This is just the beginning. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'm only getting started. If you want more, if you're ready to shift your entire perspective and step into a new way of being, check out my Linktree in the comments. You'll find my books, merch, music, and more designed to help you break free from the illusion and step into your power. This is your wake-up call. Now it's up to you. Will you keep living in the struggle, or will you step into neutrality and finally live?